guess I have a smaller head than I
thought. Well, they're adjustable, but hello everyone, behind the scenes business owner moms edition. The real stuff, like trying to figure out the headphones and how they fit.
I swear.
Oh no, I guess they're not adjustable. Oh, look at that. I don't know. Welcome to Time for Success Business Owner Moms Edition. And this is a show where we really dive into the stories of business owner moms and really get to how they define success, what that means to them, and maybe some little nuggets that they might have along their journey. All parts of the journey, as I was talking with my guest Melissa, in all parts of the journey. Because so often we just kind of see the end and we think that that's the full picture, but there's a whole story behind that. So I do really want to quickly thank our sponsor, Linda Baker, with Damsel in Defense. Their defense products to really empower women and men to be able to defend themselves in non-lethal ways. That's kind of hopefully the best ways most of the time to be able to protect themselves. So for more information, you can reach out to her at lindabakerdamselpro@gmail.com. or 636-248-1550. So we've got Melissa Ann, and oh my gosh, your Facebook says Melissa Ann. I just put that on there. Man, I'm just a day of blanking. She comes on here too, and I'm trying to tag her page, and I just had Ryan on Business Owner Dads, and I couldn't get his name because it starts with C-O-V, and hers is C-O-M complete. Couldn't get it on my head. Okay. So, Melissa, thank you so much for joining the show. Can you tell everybody a little bit more about you and a little bit more about your business?
Yeah, so I am Melissa, and I am a mom of 3. I have 8-year-old twins and a 1-year-old at home. And I started Complete Harmony, so teaching yoga for youth. And I originally have a background in social work as well.
Yeah, that's such a neat niche. Doing the yoga for youth. How did you kind of fall upon that specific niche?
Yeah, so I was working at a non-for-profit. After I had my twins, I went and worked for a non-for-profit and ran their support groups and their summer camps for kids in foster and adoptive care, and realized, hey, bringing back yoga to help with movement, to help that mind-body connection work and form after experiencing trauma is so needed and huge. Yeah. So I went to yoga teacher training to heal a little bit of my own trauma and then to also bring this back. And what happened and what I saw is that how I wanted to do the classes and how maybe I was going to be able to bring them back under a grant funding would be a little different. So I just left and started my own my own business to
that's all right.
Be able to do it more often, to be able to incorporate all the different elements that I thought were really important. And so that's kind of how I got into it, is for my own healing and then also knowing that importance of that connection that needs to happen.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. I mean, so many kids, they have so many horrible things happen in life. I mean, and trauma is different for every individual.
Totally.
Right? I mean, I'm sure you've seen that.
Yeah.
I mean, what are some examples? I mean, you've got obviously the horrible traumas of sexual abuse and those kind of things in life, but I mean, I'm sure you got kids from all different kind of backgrounds.
Absolutely.
Right?
We have kids that are just afraid of going to school, just the fear of failure. And so wondering how you get them wanting to leave the house, or giving them techniques of calming down when they're at school and the teacher says something and maybe they feel inadequate of doing that. Kids who experience bullying. Sometimes I just have kids with mental health backgrounds, and so obsessive compulsive disorder or impulse control tend to be some big ones that we see also.
Yeah. And so the yoga can actually even help maybe with the obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yeah, maybe giving them a way of breathing or removing themselves a little bit. And while it's no way a cure or something that can do, it's definitely a tool to add to the toolbox. So I work a lot with therapists one-on-ones, and so that's helpful too. Of where are you, and what kind of tools can this bring and support you?
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. So now you have your own children, you're married, so you got your own family.
I do.
Can you tell us a little bit about your family?
Oh man, so I have a busy family. They have 2 8-year-old girls who are very active into everything they can be active in. So basketball and putting on shows at home and taking care of their sister. And I have a 1-year-old who was a wonderful surprise, and fate, as my husband likes to call her. We thought our family was complete, and then when I started Complete Harmony a month after starting, I found out that we were expecting, and so that was a journey to navigate. But we love where we live, so we're able to walk and do bike runs, and that's what we call them in our house, bike runs, bike walks, because some people aren't on bikes. My husband and we love to go and do snake hunting and nature walks, and so we try to be as active as we can, and which is another reason I started Complete Harmony, was so I could be home and go to these events with them and spend time with my kids and those things.
That's wonderful. Be able to spend more time with them.
Yeah.
So I can't just skip over the snake hunting though. So tell me more about the snake hunting.
Oh my gosh. So my husband just loves snakes and reptiles and frogs and all of these things.
All right, cool.
So ever since they've been little, they go creaking and look for these. In fact, a friend just got him some snake gloves for Christmas.
Okay, I didn't know there were snake gloves.
I mean, so you can pick up those poisonous ones.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so he has those, so we can go look for those rattlesnakes that supposedly Greensfelder has. Who knew? My dad's a park ranger, so he told us about these.
Oh, no,
so that's just something that we really like to do, and my kids now are obsessed with it. My daughter wants to be a entomologist, so studying bugs, and loves to just pick those up and run with them.
So his love is carried over to your daughters.
Yes, and I love that. I just love seeing them grasp onto little things that are important to us. Yes, with gloves.
With gloves.
Yes.
But I think you're trying to say that they grasp onto little things that you try to
and that we love, and then it becomes a part of them, and I love that. Like the yoga, they attend the yoga classes too, and they pick up on that, and they love that, and they love the snakes that he brings to the table, and it's just we're all contributing to something of a greater good, and I just really love watching them decipher what's important to them.
So I guess your husband might define success, part of that in terms of just being able to go out and enjoy nature and look for the snakes and just the things that he enjoys. It's kind of a hobby for him.
Yeah.
But how else does your family define success?
Yeah. So my husband is actually a CPA. And so he's a numbers guy.
He's a numbers guy too.
He's a numbers guy, and I am not. I am a heart, emotional person, and I feel like that's a compliment in each other, right?
Yeah.
But I think that we define success a little bit differently at times, and so I think for him, making sure that he can provide for all of us, and that money aspect is there, and that. We're both either contributing or that he's contributing enough that we can feel fulfillment in the areas that are of interest to us is really important to him. But it's also important to both of us that our kids have their parents' support 100%, and that they feel loved no matter who they are and where life takes them. And I think giving them a quality of time is what is really important there, to know that my parents are not too busy for me. And so I think success is defined in those typical avenues of finances. But for us, it's also just time and who you invest in and where you go from there in your life. So where my kids go and who they fight for and support, and where they go. And I just love that. And that's a little bit about how we view that differently, but yet together at the same time.
Well, you know, and I love what you say about time, because I think it said that kids spell love Time, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, being able to spend that extra time with them.
Yeah.
So, and that's great that they're able to get involved with the yoga classes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I have one daughter, and she just wants to teach it all the time.
Yeah.
So she's looking at it as like now a family business that she can take over, right?
Yeah.
So it gives her like hope for the future, something that she can do or be successful at. And I really want them to feel that they can be successful at something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, at 8 years old, though, is she able to lead a class all on her own?
No.
Not quite there yet? Still working on it.
We're working on it. She introduces some games. And so
Okay.
in our classes, there's a lot of choice and a lot of involvement from kids, because with trauma, you lose that. You lose that choice. You lose that ability to make those decisions. And so when there's a game that comes up and a kid's really excited that they've played it before, if they want to try to introduce the directions on how to play, let's try that out. Absolutely. And if it doesn't make sense to somebody, let's try to word it a different way.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more to yoga than just doing these shapes and movements and mindfulness. There's a lot of social interaction and connecting to your community and connecting to yourself.
Yeah.
So giving kids that outlet and ways to do that is important. So while she can't lead a class just yet,
not quite there, but
she does
working on it.
She does the games and she introduces them, or sometimes they come up with a project that they want to introduce at class, where they're like, Mom, we could make a mandala out of this and it would be so fun to do.
What?
A mandala. So it is it's a circle. It's just literally, I believe it literally means circle. Right. And it's used for mindfulness and meditation. So you can create patterns within those circles and color them in and just kind of put your mind focused on one thing.
Okay.
So we're doing a whole series of mandalas right now because the kids absolutely adore them and love them. And so sometimes they just come up with things at home and I'm like, sure, let's try it. And you introduce it.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you foster that creativity with them to allow them the freedom to explore and figure some things out and all that. So that's great. Yeah. So it sounds like your yoga classes are a little bit different than the typical yoga class that somebody might go to at the gym or something like that.
Yeah, 100% differently. Yeah.
So how would you differentiate what those look like? I mean, so the audience knows a little bit better, because I mean, they might be thinking, oh, this is great, maybe I'll just take my kid to the gym, but it sounds to me like your program is special.
Yeah, so kids yoga in general is a little different because there's a lot more movement and games, and a lot of places incorporate art and music. One thing that I always say about my yoga program is, while we do a lot of movement, or asanas as they call them in yoga, we really focus on that mindfulness. We really focus on those learning coping skills and building community, because what we find is that kids, especially those with mental health, special needs, trauma, they have a harder time working on those interactions and maintaining those emotions. Regulation, we see a lot of those things just with kids in general, but and so working on some mindfulness techniques and bringing in, like, hey, in yoga today we played with Play-Doh and we all made an animal that we thought we would like to be. So when I get really I feel my body getting really busy, I know that when I was in yoga that Play-Doh calmed me down. And so it's giving them other tools that they can associate with calming or mindfulness or different things like that. We use different languaging. So because we're trauma informed, you'll hear me, I try not to use the word pose. You hear a pose a lot in yoga classes. But for trauma informed, we try to stick with the word shape. And movement and different things like that. Our goal is that no kid, no matter what circumstances they're in, we can't avoid triggers, but if we could, to avoid those and help them feel successful. So our classes are smaller. There's normally no more than 8 kids in a class, just so that they're not having to navigate all of those relationships. When relationships are hard in and of themselves, and your anxiety is building up because there could be 20 kids in this class, and there's not going to be. You're going to navigate these little relationships, and if you don't want to navigate them, that's okay. Again, there's a lot of choice. Invitational language. So I always tell the kids, this is your time. This is your class. And if your body, you need to listen to your body because you're disconnected from it. So if your body says, I need to nap for 45 minutes during this class, then that's what you can do. You can curl up on the mat. You can grab a bolster and a blanket. I can show you how to make a really cool restorative pose. And you can take a nap. And I actually did have a kid sleep for 20 minutes.
Restorative shape.
Yes, a restorative shape. You're right. It's so hard. So
I'm sure it is. Right.
When you go through training, you're taught these things, and then you're like, oh my gosh, yes, actually, this is better.
Yeah.
And so we teach them those, but really, it's listening to your body. If your body says, I need to rest, rest. If your body says, I need to roll up in a yoga burrito, meaning you start at one end of your mat and you roll all the way to the other, holding onto your yoga mat, so you're in like a burrito. Yeah. And that compression helps you feel your body a little bit more. If you need to spend 10 minutes in that while we're doing something else, I'm okay with that. Yeah. So giving them that choice of, when you're ready, I'm going to stand on my 2 feet in this shape called mountain. Yeah. And so when you're ready, you can join me. And if you become not ready and we move on, just jump in wherever you're ready to. Yeah. So they do look a little different than those classes at the Y or at the gym. And there's nothing wrong with those classes because they all have a purpose and a meaning. Yeah. We have a different goal in mind in ours.
Well, it sounds like, you think of yoga, you kind of think like Pilates, and you think of like, you have to do the poses, right, or the shapes, and that's what it kind of means. It's like a means of exercise to a degree. Right. But for you, I think there's an aspect of yoga that's more towards the mindfulness and the peace and the calm, and that's kind of more so what you're focused on, and some of the shapes and all that just augment that, right?
Yeah, they help with that. Yeah, right. They help with that mind-body connection that we need when we've lost that.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting too. You kind of let the kids learn to better understand their bodies and their needs and where they're at. Because a lot of times, just talking about success, right? Kind of going back to that topic, we forget to kind of check in where we are, and so we have kind of these big goals, but we don't always check to see, okay, so where am I in relation to that? Or, does it really make sense to go for that today? Or do I need to pay attention to myself and my body and sleep?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you ever run into that where you're like, oh, I got to do a self-check. All right, I know I want to go and do this, but I got to take a step back.
I actually did that once. I was on my way to a networking meeting. This whole networking world, so I'm really new to the business world in and of itself. Okay. And so I was on my way to a networking meeting, and I pulled out and I sat outside and I took a breath and I just said, I am not supposed to be here. My body is telling me that I am not going to be okay here. Yeah. And it wasn't anything with the meeting or the people. It was a wonderful thing, I'm sure. Right. I did not stay.
Right. Well, it probably was a wonderful thing.
It was probably a wonderful thing. And but what I noticed is I needed to focus on what was happening within myself. And so I went to another place and worked alone and realized that I was very overwhelmed with what was on my plate and what I needed to focus on. And taking time away from that to network at that moment was going to make me even more stressed in the long run. And I'm just so glad that subconsciously or something I knew what I needed. And I ended up actually running into somebody really a significant interaction at the coffee shop as well at that same time. And I was like, I was just supposed to be here. And that's okay. And so, sometimes we have to step back and acknowledge what's happening deep within our bodies. And because it knows. Right. It's a part of us, and we know when we're overwhelmed, but when we're disconnected and we don't take that time, then we live up in our head. Yeah. And we don't feel that. And so I have to remind myself that while I'm teaching kids these amazing tools, I need to utilize them too. Yeah. Even when I'm parenting, because sometimes I feel like that's the most when I'm like overwhelmed and in my head and not understanding. And I'm like, I really need to feel grounded here. Yeah. Oh, I remember we would whip out a drum and start marching. So we do that in our home. We just whip out a drum and start marching to feel the earth beneath our feet and connected and there's different tools that we can use to help kids, but also help ourselves and force ourselves to be like, okay, you're here.
So one of the things that you do to keep, I guess, calmness and sanity in your house is you use some of the techniques to redirect and to bring back that mindfulness. I mean, that's got to be a phenomenal tool set. Now, they do say that the cobbler's children has no shoes, right?
I know.
Right?
I know.
So I mean, it can be tough.
It can be.
So what do you do? Like, how do you kind of recenter yourself to get yourself back in the moment? Is there a certain phrase or a certain thought or certain visual image, or is there just like is there like a trigger that for you? Does your husband jump in?
Yeah, so there are times when he has to jump in, right? Because I think that when you have your partner, you know what each other's, like when you're escalating to a point.
And you're like, let's just go over here, children.
Right? I've had that happen when my kids are little ones. I really hate like having my hair pulled is like, oh, and like one of my kids like jumped on my hair, was pulling it, and I was like, and he was like, oh, okay, we're just gonna come over here. So you have to know, right? You read other people's body languages.
I think it's so important for the partners to know that with each other and be there for each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I just saw an article yesterday that talked about, research shows that, having a good, a partner plays a big role in success if you guys can work together well. So
yeah. And I think that that's been really key as we've navigated this business. Because again, like I said earlier, business is a whole new world for me. I came from the world of social work where you're part of an agency and you wrap around and support each other and you have coworkers and just amazing support. And when you leave that and you do a business on your own, it's lonely. And I wasn't expecting that. And my husband being a CPA is very busy. Especially this time of year, right? It's tax season, and things are starting to pick up for me. And so not having that person to like bounce ideas off of or be able to center with was really hard. And so I think it's been a matter of stepping back, taking a deep breath. I do some energy work myself to kind of calm down, and then making sure that I voice specifically what it is that I need to him. He's not good at guessing, and I wouldn't be good at guessing either, so I don't think that that's a man-woman thing. I really think that we're just not good at guessing sometimes.
Right. Well, it's a difference in expectations,
absolutely.
Right? Like, I mean, we all, I say that we all kind of live in our own version of reality.
Yeah.
Because we filter them through our past experiences, right? I mean,
absolutely.
The word pose to some people is okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean, there's no real reaction to it. Whereas somebody who's been through some trauma, possibly related to that, it could be a trigger word. So, it's important to realize that even though we think a certain way, the other person might not.
Right.
Right. And so you can step in.
Yeah. So I've noticed that being forward and like, I just really need you to like listen to what's happening and like help me like pick it apart, or just tell me that I'm doing the right thing, or tell me not to do something because it's too overwhelmed. Like, because sometimes it just gets to be so much that I can't figure it out. So
right.
Yeah.
So we're getting kind of tight on time. We got 3 minutes. So I'd love to know a little bit more about kind of maybe where you're starting to offer some of your classes, and also how people can get involved, or where they can find more information about getting involved. Please
absolutely
share that.
Yeah. So we teach classes right now out of Empowered Spaces, which is in Shrewsbury.
Okay.
And it's a therapeutic office with a attached or detached garage where that's a yoga studio.
Wonderful.
We're looking for our own home base because kids yoga has a lot of supplies. So we're looking to have stationary
with a big closet.
Yes,
right?
Yes, a big closet. You can register for our classes online at our website.
Okay.
So, do you want me to say?
It's
www.completeharmonystl.com. And you can just sign up for classes there. You can email, you can call, text, whatever works for you.
What's your email address if somebody wants more information? And your phone number, please.
Okay, it's just my name. So, Melissa Dierker. It's Dierker. At completeharmonystl.com. And the phone number is 314-649-0108.
Awesome.
And again, text, call, We do Girl Scout troops, schools.
Okay.
We're just going into schools. Schools are becoming more trauma informed, and they're realizing that movement and mindfulness piece is key.
Yeah.
When dealing with these things that are happening.
And so I guess most likely, if you're dealing with a group of kids, you know, you don't necessarily have to quote unquote know if somebody's been involved with some sort of trauma.
Right. No,
because
never.
Statistically, probably, and it might just be good to have somebody like you come in and do something like that. Yeah. It might help somebody move forward that you don't even know what's going on in the personal world.
Yeah, I have a friend, a therapist, who always says trauma informed is just everybody informed.
Right.
It's just for everybody.
Yeah.
So it just makes sure everybody's successful and well taken care of.
Awesome. Do you have a quick, we got like 45 seconds, do you have like a quick mindfulness tip?
Like a jingle? No. My kids really like to do some belly breathing. So we take a stuffed animal or a furry friend, mini babies are good, place it on your stomach, lay on your back, on your side, you can sit, however you want to do it. Okay. And you just try to use your breath to push your stomach out with your breath. And bring it in, so you're moving that furry friend with you. And again, because we're trauma informed, you pick which shape you want to be in. So sitting, laying, however.
That's wonderful. That's a good like for kids. So that music scared me. It came in fast. Woo! All right.
He was
so you probably saw me jump. All right, Matt. It's been Matt Barbie and Melissa Dierker with Time for Success Business Owner Moms Edition. Thank you, everyone. All right. Hey, Lori.